Welcome to the Look Good, Move Well podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone.
Welcome back.
Hi, Satya. Hi, Nate. How's everyone?
Hey.
No? Good. Got a good out of Nate. All right. We record podcasts on Fridays, so we're heading into the weekend. What's the big weekend plan?
Work on the launch.
Work on the launch. Right on.
And do some training.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
You?
We're going to take the kids to swim lessons, get them a waffle at the farmer's market.
Oh, the waffle. Oh, the waffle's so good. I love the waffle truck.
Mr. Alain Dupont. Oh, he's great. I pay him through Venmo.
Oh,
it's just
nice.
so... This whole...
Do you get the toppings?
The kids don't need the toppings.
No.
It's enough that they're getting the sugar-filled waffle.
Face full of powdered sugar.
Yeah. They don't know. We don't go powdered. We just go plain.
No?
They don't even know that there's.
They don't even know there's an option.
There's an option. We're keeping them out of the loop as much as we can, but they love going. And then we go and grab the sushi grade fish from the fish monger. Mm-hmm. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's the big weekend plan.
Nice.
Yesterday I posted an AMA on Instagram story. Got a lot of great questions. Got a lot of good questions and a lot of silly questions. But many of those questions, I do my best to answer a lot of them. But this is probably a better format to do, rapid fire Q&A. And
yeah.
There's hopefully going to be some questions that we pull up that we can kind of riff on a little bit and have more of a discussion. But are you ready?
I'm so ready. I'm so excited for you to answer some of these.
Okay.
I may have some things to add.
Great.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do it.
We are going to start off with this one, and I lost it already. I'm doing a bad job already. Okay. It is, if you had a 25th hour of the day, an extra hour in the day, how would you spend it?
Whew. Jeez, that's good. How did I miss that yesterday? Well, I think I probably would, I would do some more like peaceful nature connection, no devices, no exercise, no exertion, just sort of just like, kind of like, the scene out of Gladiator where Russell Crowe is like kind of walking through like the field, like it's when he's like, it's kind of his crossing over, like he's dying kind of vision, but he's out in like the field and he's like, his fingertips are kind of running through the wheat, and that seems like I kind of want to be, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems like, out in the sun, out connect. Maybe it's not sunny, but just being outside. I think that would be massively valuable to my mental and emotional health. How about you? Where would you go for 25th hour? It sounds like a name of a good bar, maybe.
Oh, that is a great name for a bar.
Or a coffee shop.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my coffee.
Oh, my God.
My coffee cart. Jesus. Okay.
Save that one for later.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to be super honest. I would spend it cleaning my house. I just don't have time to do it all, and I would like to get to it all, and I just can't make it. Yeah.
Satya, I could hook you up with a cleaner.
There are people who do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm aware.
Okay.
But my question for you, though, a little follow-up, is why haven't you made time in your 24 hours to connect with nature?
I'm so glad you asked, because that means I'm going to ask you the same question about your filthy ass kitchen. Why haven't I made? I make some time to connect. It's, I think one of my hopes and dreams is that my lifestyle, my life rhythms and habits and patterns are more in close proximity to like the nature I'm talking about. We live close to stuff, but I think the reality is that, like, unless it is outside my door, or it's right there in front of me, it's hard. You know, my buddy Ben, one of my best friends, he just, he lives out in Louisiana and kind of in Lake Charles, Louisiana, but he just showed me this piece of property that they're going to be moving onto, and it's like, right out of his back door, there's this like marsh, and there's like grass, and there's a bayou, and that's a swamp type of thing. If y'all don't know.
In Louisiana.
In Louisiana. But it's like that is going to be right accessible to him, whereas like, I walk out my door and I'm in a concrete jungle. Not so bad, but it's like I got to go a little ways. But I think that so that's my excuse, kind of. Like if it was right outside my door, I would probably do it. But it just means that like to make that time, you got to go 15 minutes or 20 minutes this direction to get there. And then you get a couple, some time, and then you got to come back. And I think that's one of the downsides of like, modern life and, suburban or even, urban life is just we've kind of all moved closer together and everything's been developed and there's maybe less space. So that's just a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? What's going on with the the kitchen?
The kitchen situation. My setup is that I am always running into the barrier of how effective that I can be as an individual person. And that's true for so many areas of my life. It's true for my work. It's true for my home life. I'm a single mom. So
yeah, I was just about to say, you're crushing it. Single mom, 2 kids, running a great, successful business, working super hard. So yeah, if your dishes are piling up, you totally get a pass.
Okay.
Okay.
But I do feel like I'm being challenged in my life to acknowledge my own limitations and to lean on other people for help, which is also not something I'm great at. So I think at a certain point I'm going to have to outsource for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you're outsourcing a lot of things at this stage of your life. And, there are people that are eager and happy, and it's a big part of their well-being to come to your house and make it feel really good and clean. So yeah, that's a thing that can happen.
Slide into my DMs.
Anybody want to come clean my toilet? Slide up in my DMs.
Okay. All right. You get this question a lot, but because it keeps coming up, I feel like it's probably worth reiterating.
Yes.
What is your take on artificial sweeteners?
My take. I'm not up on the most recent relevant research. Some things that I have seen lately, which either corroborate my intuitive feelings about artificial sweeteners, and a couple that kind of don't. There is one thing that I've said for a while, which is, okay, this could be a whole podcast, to be honest. There's a few things about this that I have strong feelings about. Number one, the artificial sweetener probably shows up the most in modern day life through 0-calorie beverages, or beverages people are trying to get a sweet fix from, but they don't want the calories. Now, on the one hand, I appreciate the goal of trying to limit sugar. On the other hand, embedded in that is this preoccupation and with diet culture, less calories is better. Now, there's plenty of people that are eating a lot of calories that they don't need. And it's coming from processed foods that are packed with lots of extra sweets and, processed fats that just add calories, and they don't add a lot of value nutritionally. However, the preoccupation with eating lower and lower calorie has failed people. I'm trying to eat less and less and less, and the end result has been a nation getting more and more fat, obese, unwell, and more diabetes, and more. Yeah. So I don't like the idea of like, hey, we're all here to chase eating less calories. So that's one thing that I take issue with. The other is that I do believe we're a nation, or we're a society that is conditioned to want sweet things. Almost everything that is, I mean, we have been programmed in our DNA, and you know, people hear that term and I don't think you really appreciate it, but like your DNA is this kind of code that is that when transcribed makes you who you are. So like all the information about how your joints are connected, how your neurons are connected and your brain is built, like it's all in this DNA. When this DNA is expressed as we are as humans, there's code in there that says you should like things that are sweet. You need to like things that are sweet. When you experience sweet, that's a good thing. Go crazy. You know, get it all in. And when you get it all in, this is like how this kind of works from a biological ancestral standpoint, is that when you would stumble across sweetness, it was usually in the form of like a berry or a piece of fruit or, you know, something in nature that was not around year round. It was around periodically. It was during certain months of the year you would find, you know, in the end of the summer, late summer, you would find these ripe berries and fruits. So you would eat one and be like, that's good. And then your brain and all the chemical signals in your body would tell you to eat a lot. Now, if you eat a big old bushel of, you know, fruit, it's going to give you energy for like a couple hours or a couple, you know, a day, because you max out on how much you can store. But then we also evolve this pattern and this capacity in us that when we eat a bunch of sugar, it turns on fat storage hormones. Because when you were early ancestors, you ate a bunch of fruit that you found at a certain time of year. What do you want to do? You want to store it as fat, because the winter was coming when you wouldn't have as much food and you needed to use the energy later on. And the way we store energy is fat. Okay. All that is like back to present day. We're just designed to like sweet things. And so we don't have control. We don't have willpower. Like if you had willpower back in ancestral days, you're like, oh, I'm only gonna have one of these juicy berries. Like you were gonna fucking die.
Yeah.
You were gonna be the one that didn't survive. It was survival of the fittest, and you wanted your hormonal signals and brain signals had to be strong enough to overcome any irrational or rational thought process. And so that's the power we're working against. And I just believe that, like, whether it's artificial or real sweets, we want to condition ourselves away from that as much as possible. You have a bunch of artificial sweetener or just daily artificial sweetener, you're still kind of programming your brain to be like, I'm getting sweet. Now, I'm not saying you should never have something sweet, and I'm not saying, like, eat bland, boring food for the rest of your life. It's just kind of a question mark. It's like, I know that artificial sweetened beverages are a slippery slope for me. I love the Diet Coke, but if I have one a week, it soon turns into two, and then it turns into three, and then it turns into like something. And that's how I operate. I don't know if other people are like that, but I think there are people that are like that. So I'm very mindful to be like, okay, well, this is better than that kind of thing. Now, the last part is about the type of artificial sweetener. There is, and I guess I guess this question might have been asked is like 0-calorie sweeteners, because 0-calorie sweeteners includes things like stevia and monk fruit, which are not artificial. Those are actually naturally occurring compounds, versus sucralose or aspartame. I just don't know what the current relevant research has shown, but something I read recently was quite alarming about aspartame and the connection to neurodegenerative disease, things like Alzheimer's, and I don't want to quote something right now and be like spreading misinformation, but it was like alarming enough, and it was a peer-reviewed paper. I was like, ooh, like Megan and I were like, maybe our once every couple weeks Diet Coke needs to stop. Now again, I don't want to alarm people, but I encourage you to do your own research on it and be like, is having this artificial sweetener versus a naturally occurring 0-calorie sweetener, like maybe I should make a better choice, right? So, I try and opt for something that's sweetened with stevia or sweetened with monk fruit. If I'm going to have it, I just try and be mindful of when I'm having it. And then I did say that there was one piece of evidence that I saw, which was there was a claim that was made for a long time, which was like, if you drink diet beverages, you end up craving more sweets later on, and then the net outcome is that you end up eating more sugar and more calories. That was actually tested in a study that I saw shared on social media, a published paper that somebody shared on social media, and it was really debunked. And it was actually like the people that had like the Diet Coke every day versus the people that had the regular Coke every day. Like the people that had the Diet Coke ended up having fewer calories. So it was actually an effective caloric strategy. But again, that goes back to my original statement, which is like, why are we chasing just lower and lower calories? We need to be chasing higher and higher quality of food and just eating real things, which has the net result too of having people end up with lower calories.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my thing.
Oh my God. Wow.
Jeez.
Okay. Good job.
That's how I feel about it. I'm going to sip my black coffee.
Okay. No, that was a great answer, because I feel like there is a lot of emphasis on just optimizing the caloric consumption always.
Yes.
And we know anecdotally, even from our own experience, you and I and the people around us, that when we eat fewer sweets in general, we tend to crave them less. When we eat higher quality food and more protein, we tend to crave sugar less. So
yeah, yeah. So I don't mean, again, I haven't tested all of my theories against long-term cohort studies and things like that, but I don't know. I feel pretty good about where I sit on my thinking there, and it's enough to share it with you all.
Yeah.
Okay,
awesome.
Let's move it on.
Okay.
Move it on.
Next one. Do you have any good advice on eating healthy while in college?
I sure do.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, avoid the dining hall. No, I'm just kidding. The dining hall is a great place. I think eating healthy at any stage of life and trying to whether it's like I'm in college or I'm trying to do it on a budget or I'm doing it and I'm busy, the more you understand about food, the better, right? Like, I just believe people, on the one hand, I don't want people to go to be forced to go take a nutritional science 101, community college course. But at the same time, it's like, I almost think that should be mandatory, a prerequisite to life. It's like, if you're in college, sign up for a nutrition course. That's one way to, you're there, you're paying for the units, go get educated on the science of, nutrition. And hopefully there's some practical application stuff that's in there, namely understanding how to read food labels and know that there's more to a food label than just how many grams of sugar are in the piece, of bread or whatever you're buying. But eating healthy in college, at least how I experienced it, was like my first year, I just didn't eat very healthy because I was just unaware. Mm-hmm. So you got to raise your awareness around what it means to eat healthy, which means let's just break it down into, 5 simple things. Eating a real, whole, mostly unprocessed food. So it's like, and I say mostly unprocessed because if you're in college and you go to the dining hall, someone's making food for you, it's processed. Like, they put their hands on it, they chopped it, they cooked it. But what I mean is, don't buy bags of chips. Don't buy, don't go out and order takeout and burgers from the burger joint. And it's stick to whole, real foods as much as you can. Start to understand what fresh produce and vegetables look like and make that a part of every meal. Know how to source protein, from in kind of simple forms, like chicken nuggets, not as optimal as like a chicken breast or chicken thigh. And then something like, if you're in college, maybe you don't have a kitchen, but you have a little toaster oven, or you have something in your dorm room, or you have something in your apartment that you can make one thing every day on your own. So it's like starting to take control by making your own food. And that could just be like a smoothie. Like every morning you make a protein smoothie. You get a banana, you get whey protein, you get some yogurt, and you throw it in there. Boom, you've got yourself a pretty solid start to your day with mostly real food, like a little bit of processed protein. But I mean, as a college student, that's way better than swinging by Jamba Juice and buying something that's like packed full of extra sugar, and you have some control over it, and you're learning at that age how to start to feed yourself, not have somebody else always feed you. And then perhaps maybe the last thing is, that was 4 things. So I'll keep it at that. Okay. I mean, that's a simple way to start, and if you move into an apartment or you move into a living situation where you have a little bit more of a kitchen, then you take the next step and you start to, cook yourself lunch, or you learn how to make one thing. And it doesn't have to be expensive. I shopped super cheap in college. I bought everything in bulk. It was cheap. I went to Costco, and it was meat, vegetables, some starch. I eat the same type of stuff today. I just buy a lot more expensive stuff because I can afford more expensive stuff of higher quality, and it tastes a little bit better when it's fresh and bought locally from the farmer's market, and it's organic, and it's free range, grass fed, pastured rather. So yeah, that's how I would go about it.
Yeah. I was so excited this week because my son, who's 11, wanted to learn how to make scrambled eggs.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was so cool.
It was great. And I'm just hoping to get him into cooking a little bit for himself. It's just such a great life skill to have.
Breakfast is such a cool place to start with kids. I remember that being like my thing when I was little. It was like, oh yeah, Mark can make great breakfast. He makes scrambled eggs, and I was just making omelets like crazy, and yeah.
Well,
great.
There's a good protein source right there.
Good move, Mom.
Yeah. Well, thanks. All right. Let's talk about a topic I'm not ready to get into with my children yet. What are your thoughts on marijuana?
Huh. I not ready to get into with your kids?
I'm happy to talk about it with my kids. I'm not ready for my kids to start smoking weed yet.
Yeah. Is that a thing that's like that are kids? They're not quite old enough for that to be popping up in their friend circles, is it?
My kids aren't at that age yet, but in my experience, I think these things come in sooner than one might want to think about as a parent.
And I also get the feeling that like maybe some of their friends' parents are pretty like.
Oh, we live in a hippie town.
I was going to say like everyone's smoking everything.
Oh yeah, everyone's smoking everything in Fairfax.
Yeah. Let's see. My feelings about it. I don't really have any feelings. Like, it's one of those things where, hey, I smoke weed, or I eat edibles, and okay, cool. How's that working for you? Like, good. Okay, great. It's like, well, I don't know. It kind of feels like it might be messing up my this. I'm like, well, let's investigate that. Like at this point, at least in our state, it's like legalized. It's not, there's not this. There's no criminality about it.
There's like a giant pot warehouse like across the parking lot from us that
seriously.
will like deliver it to your door.
Right. Yeah. We have a dispensary in the building.
In the building.
That is we always have some on hand at our house. I don't. There was a period of time last year where I would say it was like almost a nightly. Habit. I was maybe like, I don't even remember like the dosing, but it was a very small amount. I mean, I wasn't using it. I wasn't even taking it at a time where I was experiencing any of like the THC effects. I take it like right before bed and as a tool to like try and improve my sleep. And at different periods of time of the year, if like I'm really mentally hyperactive or like a lot of activity in my brain and I'm having a hard time quieting it down, it has been effective for me at those times. But for prolonged periods, like I've tested against my my heart rate variability scores, some of my recovery scores, some of my Whoop data, and it just was like, this is not actually helping you that much, because I was my like subjective, experience was like, some days would be like, oh yeah, it felt great, and then other days I'd be like, I don't know. So I kind of didn't really know if it was a positive or negative, and I kind of took some of the objective data to be like, oh, this isn't really helping me that much. Now there'll be a day where I'm like really wound up, where I'm really like, and I'm like, I'm taking some of this tonight because this is going to help me, and I want to have this experience, and I want to just chill and kind of let my brain kind of wind down and relax. Then that works for me, even if like the heart rate variability data, the recovery data shows me like, oh, that wasn't good for your recovery. I'm like, yeah, but it was good for my psyche. Like, I needed it.
You have to balance.
Yeah. So, and I haven't investigated like its effects on performance and testosterone. And it would, from what I have, the little I have consumed in terms of data and research out there, it's not great for performance. It's not great for testosterone production, but again, that's limited exposure to that data and that evidence. I mean, certainly you see people up in arms about the fact that, Olympic athletes are getting taken out of the Olympics for testing positive for marijuana. It's like, are we, come on, like, this is not ridiculous. A performance enhancing drug at this point. So, if you're worried about it affecting your ability to like have gains in the gym, I think that's a real concern, and you might want to investigate that. But then again, it's not just like there's the psychological component to something, and then there's like the physical response that's happening from a hormonal level in your brain. Like if you feel amazing and it helps you feel more connected to like what you're doing, and it helps manage your anxiety, like then, hey, then that might be better than the little bit of, growth hormone or testosterone deficit that you get from it. Yeah.
One question that always comes up whenever I do nutrition research is that people say that they have an issue with getting the munchies, and then their whole nutrition plan falls off the rails.
Yeah. That I can understand. I think that that might be why it like would work for me to take it late at night. It's like right before, like I'm literally falling asleep. I'm like falling asleep. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to take this, and then that's going to impact but yeah, after the day of food is done.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to do a training question because we've been talking a lot about nutrition, lifestyle.
Yeah.
So what do you do in training for back pain?
Well, let's clarify this question. What do I do if I'm in pain? Is that the question? Like, if I have back pain, what do I do when I go to the gym?
Yeah, this person, like, they have lower back pain and they're not sure how to work around it.
Well, it's, first, like, I don't like to generalize any pain issue and be like, well, this is how you deal with that, right?
Yeah.
Because there could be. I remember as an early coach, I was like this client who was like, I've got knee pain, and we like started doing all this stuff to work around knee pain. And it was because I was like in the mindset of like, he's got anterior knee pain, and that is going to be exacerbated by, squatting and I don't know, jumping. I made up a lot of stories. I don't know if it's because I thought he said it or I just made that assumption. But it turns out that he had like a popliteus, like hamstring insertion thing on the back of his knee. And like, that was a whole different pain scenario, right? Like that was like hinging, things where we were loading up his hamstrings, and that was all I was doing. Cause I was like, oh, if I load up the back of his leg, he's not going to have as much anterior knee pain. Like that was poor coaching on my part. But, again, that's knee pain, and generally people think of knee pain as like an anterior, like patella, the front of the kneecap. This is where probably more pain symptoms happen for people than back of the knee. So anyway, back pain. It's like, I've got back pain. Well, does he have low back pain, or is it like when sometimes people say like my back hurts and it's like between their shoulder blades? That's their back, So I don't know. Like, is it back pain that's related to flexion, or is it back pain that's related to extension? Like some people, like, they just assume like, oh, I've got back pain, like, don't round your back. But then you ask them further, like, when do you feel relief? It's like anytime I like round my back and I like fold forward, I feel like no pain. But when I like arch my back, I feel a ton of pain. It's like very different, you know. And I have back pain when I load, you know, when I load things on my shoulders, but not when I load something in front of my chest. So there's a lot of different. That's the first thing, is like, where's your back pain coming from? What's the thing that exacerbates it? You kind of have to do some investigating with a professional to figure out, well, what is going on? You know, I mean, you have options to figure out what's going on. You can go and get imaging, and you can go and get, do diagnostic tests. Those can be expensive. You might not even be able to afford it, or your insurance might not cover it because you didn't go through the proper channels. Like, it's just a thing you have to go through. Mm-hmm. But you could do that, and you could go down the rabbit hole of figuring out, like, well, what is the pathology underneath?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a bulging disc, or I have a degenerative disc at L4, L5, and it appears from the images to be pressing on the nerve root here, and that's why I'm getting pain. Is it central, or is it down your leg, or something like that? Once you know that, then that may or may not help you better understand what you can and can't do in the gym.
Yeah.
The other avenue is to go through like a physical therapist, or like a very well-educated strength and conditioning coach that can say, okay, let's go through all these assessments and these movements, what's bothering you, what's not. And then the path to recovery and the path to healing that is, avoiding the things that cause anything more than a 3 out of 10 on the pain scale, and then strengthening everything you can around it, getting blood flow to the area, and allowing tissues to heal. So when I have pain in an area, I am trying as best I can to go into the gym and keep moving, get a lot of blood flow, get strong muscle contractions, work hard against resistance. All of those objectives accomplish something in my body that equates to healing. When you go and you do a heavy set of back squats, not only are you going to strengthen your legs and your core from like lifting the weight, but a heavy set of back squats sets off a whole cascade of different nervous system and endocrine or hormonal adaptations that heal you or help you grow, right? So if I'm trying to heal my low back and I go in and I get a kick-ass quad pump from doing leg extensions till I'm like maxing out, my quads are obviously going to get a good workout, but so is my whole body going to get this, like, you're going to pump out some hormones, and those hormones go everywhere. They don't just go to your quads. They're not quad hormones. Those are full body hormones. So you're going to use that indirectly to heal. So you want to keep training. You just got to find what can you do in the gym that helps you to achieve that stimulus that will actually get the healing to happen. Furthermore, you need blood flow to areas of the body that you want to heal. It's like, you want that plant to grow. You got to water the plant. You can't water the tree next to it and hope that the plant's going to grow. So if your back is hurting, you can't just get blood flow to your quads. You got to get blood flow to your low back. How does that happen? Well, you do things that promote full body circulation. You do things that are not super intense, but that kind of get the muscles around your low back to pump up, and move a little bit. And again, I'm assuming this is a low back problem, but if it's an upper back problem, then the same thing. Hey, my elbow hurts. What am I going to go do? I'm going to go do like the lightest tricep extensions I can think of with the thinnest band. I'm going to do hundreds of them. And what that's going to do is it's not going to cause me pain. It's just going to get all the muscles around my triceps and my elbow like pumped with blood. Okay, great. I just promoted healing. And then I might need to go do something, like some really intense planks or something like that to get that hormonal nervous system response to complement the blood flow and that would be it. And then you do that every single day. Each day gets a little bit stronger. Each day gets a little bit stronger. After a week, you're like, oh, I can do that glute bridge or hip thrust again. Now I'm training my low back again safely. And then 2 weeks later, oh, I can do a very light Romanian deadlift. Cool. And next thing you know, like, you just follow that plan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being so surprised when I had a back tweak. There was this, like, when I first started working with Shauna, and she gave me like the backflow circuit, and it was like heavy farmer's carries and like getting in there with the side plank and like a circuit, keep moving and get in there to the area. And I was like, oh, like, is that safe? And then, you pick up the kettlebells and you're like, oh yeah, this feels good. Feels solid.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard my friend, the Liver King, say something the other day.
Oh.
And we'll save this for the next episode. But
he carried his kettlebells out of a lake.
Pretty much. It was like, he was talking about a win that he had, and I just resonated with this so much. It was like, our bodies are designed to be like healing machines if we give it the right ingredients, and that partly is the nutrients that we eat. So you got to look at how you're eating. But the other ingredient is like, we got to go out and we got to like work. We got to like stimulate the body, and then it knows how to heal itself.
Yeah.
And so, I think his was like, he tweaked his back, and then within like a pretty severe back tweak, and then within 7 days he was like back squatting and deadlifting 500 pounds again, kind of thing. And I'm not saying that that's like the path you need to take, but his relative, strength like that, it was like, we are phenomenally capable of healing if we just follow the right ingredients. And that's part of like, gym. That's how you approach healing when you get into the gym. It's like, okay, you got to go in, it's hard because you like are limited, but you got to go work hard.
Yeah.
And you got to go bust out a sweat. You got to go push yourself in a way that doesn't send you backwards, but just allows you to go forwards. And I think that's what our, shout out to all of our coaches at Functional Bodybuilding, but that's what they really do best with our individual clients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good place to stop for today.
Totally.
This was super fun.
Yeah. I think we'll do it again soon.
Yeah. Send in your questions.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.